line of a foul ball or even a missed ball. So we tell our guys to put your thumb inside and then make a soft fist. The biggest reason is that with a foul tip, what can happen, or the biggest amount of damage you can do, is a broken thumb. So by putting your thumb into your hand and making a soft fist, not a hard one, but a soft, that prevents the most amount of damage that can happen. Okay. Moving forward with that, I highly recommend to our guys that it follows the glove. Okay, not only because the glove's going to be right in front, but because it's going to help with our transfer throws to second. That can be hard to do sometimes. You know, if we're trying to concentrate on catching the ball and moving a little bit right and left, also making sure our body's positioned correctly, that's not the easiest thing to do, and some guys just can't do it. So if that happens, what I say is, when in doubt, get trained that this comes to the center of your chest. The reason why we say center of the chest is that it is really unlikely that a foul ball is going to hit you right in the center of your chest. It's usually going to have some sort of east, west, north, south movement. Okay? So if we get right back to the center of the chest, you should be okay. Sure.
So do you keep your throwing hand behind the back for the man-on position?
Right, so when there's no man on, good question, because I failed to mention, I like to say behind your foot. Behind your back isn't bad, I just think it's uncomfortable. And if you notice, my elbow sticks out over here, which not only is it uncomfortable, but you can't get dinged up here. So I like right here. But this is certainly not wrong, I just think it's uncomfortable.
I asked that in part because my son catches every time the ball comes and brings the hand around the field.
Right.
How do you break that habit for a young kid?
I mean, it's not necessarily a bad habit to have, because you want to have that transfer, like Coach Cascarosa is talking about. But if you're open hand and you're here, like this is right where foul balls happen. So I would always say, whenever you're catching, whether it's no man on or not, this should always happen, because broken thumb will derail your entire season. So this is definitely the answer when the ball's not in your glove. Good. So finishing up on man on base, flat back, hand behind your glove. If it's not following, it's to the center of your chest. And you hear a lot about a guy like Jorge. I don't know if you guys probably remember Jorge Posada, catcher for the Yankees. What I really loved about Jorge is he was the best about swaying into the position. Not necessarily the best hands, but what he did is that if he was set up, let's say middle, you should never be set up middle, but anyhow, and it came in inside, right? He was the best at just slightly moving his chest, so not having, I guess, a torsion in his shoulders, but he just swayed right into that position. This could be a little bit advanced for the guys we're working with, but what we tell our guys is that if you're moving, it's never with your shoulders, it's with your ankles. So you move here, our shoulders stay the same, but I'm swaying to that spot. So if you're getting a guy who he's starting to move his shoulders, just say, sway with your ankles, not with your shoulders. So I think that's a pretty good point with stance. Yeah, so we'll move right on to receiving. Okay, receiving is like moving with the steering wheel. Okay, so if we're middle here, and then we're moving right to this spot here on the corner, we're curling in. Then to the outside pitch, we're catching the inside part of the baseball, kind of like hitting the inside part of the baseball, and catching it with, as close to the corner of the glove like that. Okay, you see a lot of kids, when we're talking east and west with pitches, you'll see like a pull in or a pull out, or if you come in with a little bit more velo, you see like a drag away. Those are the things that we're trying to prevent with working with the steering wheel. So if that ball's in, I'm trying to curl it in, not drag it in, but just curl it in. And then on the outside pitch, I'm just trying to beat it to the spot. So I'm trying to get out there and hold it on that corner. Now, I think if you refer to your receiving sheet, when we're talking about pitches up and down, I think this is the best thing that you can do. Those pitches low, you want to go out and get. The reason why you want to go out and get them is that if you catch them up and try to grab them before gravity has its pull, it looks way more like a strike as opposed to here instead of there. So you want to go out and get those down pitches. The up pitch, just the opposite. You want to absorb them inside. You can it's a little tricky to start, but you want to absorb that pitch inside. So the exact opposite of pitching that low pitch. Good. So to enforce these kind of receiving drills, what we do is we start by playing catch with a tennis ball. So if you wouldn't mind just tossing it to me. We have our guys just on their knees, on their butts, and you're just catching with the tennis ball. You can't catch this consistently unless you're having soft hands. What I mean by soft hands is like you're catching kind of with a little bit of an absorbing action. So we're catching here, I've got to absorb it in, and I got to be just soft with my fingertips. I usually start high because those are the easy ones, and then we challenge the guys after we got a few to go out and get and work underneath the baseball with the thumb. That's the only way you can go out and get a low pitch is if you're working underneath the baseball with your thumb. So you just throw it right down here. You're just working right underneath. Good. Right underneath. Good. Okay. The one thing I just want to point out is if we're working on that low pitch, I never want extension. I just want flexion, but getting out underneath it. Working just underneath the baseball. Underneath the baseball. Okay? The next drill is this is a drill I really like because you can do it on your own. Hopefully you guys can see it. Grab a piece of ball with either a baseball or a tennis ball, and you're just with your throwing hand, and you just throw it against the wall. Because not only are you throwing it, but you're practicing that kind of absorption of soft hands. So you get here, here, and then once you're good, you can kind of throw it over a low pace, so you get that lower pitch, going out and get it, and you go side to side. Now, after a while, this can be repetitive. So what I like to do is I say, okay, we'll get another guy behind me, and he'll throw it behind me, and then I'm catching it in front. So I'm just picking it up off the wall, and that's just increasing my reactive skills. And then when I'm really good, I get two balls going. So I catch one, flip one up, catch one, flip one up. So it's almost like a juggling act. And it's good. I mean, you can take like kind of a trivial drill, get it going, but then you can challenge a guy. And that's what it's all about. Is catching is that, start off with guys, just kind of getting it over. And then you see some movement with pitches. And you've got to be able to react to different scenarios. And, move around a little over there with the swing and maybe even blocking a little bit. And it's all about reacting. So, doing these types of reactionary drills from tennis ball off the wall is really good. It's not only are you working on your hands, but you're working on your eyes. So that's the receiving drill. Any question on receiving before we move forward? Steering wheel, out, down low, absorb.
Can you tell 8-year-olds about framing pitches?
So I think the one thing that needs to be addressed is that you're not trying to fool the umpire, you're trying to present the umpire, right? So you're not trying to make a ball strike, you're just trying to make a pitch that could be a strike look like a strike. So, I'm sure you've seen a little kid pull it in, it's like, oh, strike, I'm looking around. No, that's bad, it's not good baseball. But, what you're trying to do is just make strikes look like strikes. Nothing more, nothing less. So that's why what you do with working underneath the baseball on those low pitches, curling those in, beating it to the spot on the out, and then absorbing out. And you'll find that once the umpire appreciates you not trying to fool him, that's when you get more strikes called. So something that we tell our guys, and I tell any kid, is that if there's a ball, don't try to do anything other than get it back to the pitcher. So if it's down low, catch it out kind of, bare, like open hand, just flip it back. But maybe that pitch that looks a little bit better, that's when you go out and grab it and maybe hold it for a second longer. So that's framing in a nutshell. All right, so we'll move on to blocking. So, when blocking should always be done in a runner-on position. The reason for that is that if we're comfortable back here, it's real hard to get down to our knees unless we're prepared for our body's in an adequate position. So there's a runner on, so we get a little bit hiked up, got a flat back, and then we're out in front with our hand in a soft fist. Whenever we block, our glove always leads. So if you look on that blocking sheet, that pitcher to my right, your left, is catcher with an open face here because the glove always leads. So the glove should get to the spot. So let's say I'm just working middle. I'm in my man-on position, glove leads, my throwing hand follows, and then my knees travel directly to the spot on a downward trajectory. I think a big thing that where a lot of kids go wrong is they see block, they read it, they come up to go down. That's when you get beat 5-1. So if you're coming up, you're losing time to get down to the spot. We say travel directly downward with your knee. Glove, hand follows, and the knees go directly there. The next big problem is you'll see that a lot of kids like to make a kind of close V with their arms. That's not bad. You're typically going to be okay there, but you're going to get banged up on the forearms, and that's where the wristbands come into play and all sorts of Evo Shield stuff. Really, the best way to correct it is not to buy other things, but just to flare out a little bit. Make yourself big, okay, and be able to be proud with your chest. I think you see a lot of guys like they're so ready to block, and maybe they're not really ready for a baseball to hit to them, and then they make themselves small. You're just cutting down not only your protective gear, but the overall space that you are to block. So be proud with your chest, with just a little bit of a tint downwards so that ball can hit you right down front. And the goal of blocking, guys, is to always bring the ball back to the center of the plate. Okay? Whenever you block, it's always funnel it back to the plate. So with that pitch middle, I am parallel to the plate because that's where I want the ball to go. When we go right and left, it's a little bit of a different story. Okay, so if I'm working to my right, you're left, we're here. My glove is going to get to the spot. My hand is going to follow. I'm going to fire with my back leg to the spot so that my knee can get on an angle, slight angle, so that I am working again parallel with the plate. I like to say parallel with this line. So again, my ball hits me in the chest and funnels right back to the plate. Again, we're working back to the plate with the blocks and the baseball. Okay? Same fundamentals, only reversed on the other side. We read block, glove goes down, hand follows, firing off my back leg, getting parallel to this side of the plate, again here. I think when you introduce it, I think the first thing that a guy will do is take you to an extreme, and you're almost parallel with this side of the plate. It's no good, because now you're pointing there and the ball's in the other dugout. So again, working back to the plate, always blocking with the ball for the final destination towards the plate. I think when we're talking about blocking, it's really natural for a kid not to like it and to fidget. So when I mean fidget is the ball comes in and they do something like this. And that's not only going to be a safety concern where you get hit somewhere else, but that's when the ball starts to ricochet away from the plate. So what I like to say is that when the ball comes into you, exhale. So I'm here, ball comes in. The reason why we say that is not only is that going to relax us, but our torso is going to be a little bit softer, so you're not going to get a big bounce. I'm not going to introduce that to an 8-year-old right away, but what I would say is that's something to keep in mind when teaching the drill. So exhale when the ball hits you in the chest. Lastly, when that ball is ready to hit you, and once you've positioned yourself correctly, it is very important to follow the ball with your eyes. Not only so that we can see the baseball and making sure that we're positioned correctly, but too many times I've gotten balls hit right around this area. It's not fun. It's probably the worst place you can get hit with the ball. And you are really, if you're doing everything right and you're doing it like this, you've positioned yourself to really get banged up in the neck area. So it's always eyes down to the ball. So which leads real nicely into the first drill we do with our blocking. So what we do with our blocking is we have our guys get to our stance, glove down, knees down. So they're in their blocking position, and I'll stand maybe not but a few feet standing, and I'll have them do eye drill. What it is I'm going to throw it right into the ground. It's going to hit their chest. We're working on not fidgeting with our top half, exhaling upon impact, and following the balls with our eyes. So the ball's here, ball comes down, follow it in. Follow it in. That's just making sure that not only is our neck protected, but we're working with our eyes. And it's a nice drill to begin because I think it makes guys kind of prepared to block. It's really, once you kind of get down and dirty with it, you need to be able to prepare yourself to block. A baseball's coming at you and you're trying to deaden it. It can be a lot. So this drill not only works on some of the finer fundamentals, but it prepares your body to take an impact. It's kind of like, you know, if you're working at a bee farm, what you're going to do is get stung first so you know how it feels like, so that, you know, you're not affected or, you know, fidget next time you have it. So after we do eye drill, what we're going to do is we're going to stay in our position here, and then we're going to do glove and eyes. Okay, glove and eyes is that I'm here and I'm waiting for that ball to be released. Glove goes down, I move down with it. Okay, so it just enforces that this goes down first. Glove always always leads, and then everything else follows. After we do a round of that, we'll go side to side with blocks, and then we'll do re-drill, which is, I'll mix in some strikes, but most of them will be in the dirt. I think, you know, you can be a little bit block conscious, and you can catch a strike on your knees. That's giving the umpire a real bad look to see if it's a strike or not. If you're on your knees, you're telling the umpire this is a strike. So it's real important that you know when to hold your water and then when to get into your block. But those drills aside, what I like to do with our blocking is the 3-ball drill. So we have 3 baseballs. Those are kind of like a visionary aid for a block middle, right and left, or vice versa from your angle, okay? And they'll just practice the fundamentals of doing it. So if it's middle,